Hi there, it's Sarah of Get Weaving. I'm weaving this at the moment on my 20-inch Ashford Knitters loom. That's still my favourite. I'm making another version of this pattern here. This is JA002. It's like a sort of short jacket. It's lined, binding around the edge, and a press stud with a covered button on the front. I made the original version for my daughter in this fabric. This was a grey wool warp and a red weft. But I've never made myself one, and I quite fancy one of these. The warp is this blue Matchmaker merino double knitting. This was left over from a cardigan that my mum was knitting for me. Sadly, never got it finished, and I didn't have the heart to finish it. So I've unpicked it, wound it into balls on my ball winder because I find it easier to take the ball like this and the yarn from the centre when I'm winding the warp. Then it doesn't snag and the tension is all even. So the warp is blue. As usual, I wind one warp and one weft together around an inch of a measurer so I can check the set, and then I just count the warps. This is the weft. It's from last Christmas. My friend Elizabeth gave me a lovely advent calendar. Each day had a little pack of fibres to be spun, about 25 grams, I think. So this was the singles from that. And then I applied it with a very dark brown Shetland because I wanted the colours from the advent fibres to really stand out. And I tried several other colours, but they all sort of dulled it down. So I'm very happy with this. It's a nice project if anybody else fancies having a go. I think a whole group of them got together with lots of fibres, and then they each made up their Christmas advent boxes. Lovely, absolutely lovely. So when this fabric is woven, it goes, the warp goes sideways. So I hope you can see the layout on there. There's very little waste. The pieces fit really closely next to each other. So the weft will be going, the warp will be going sideways, the weft will be going up and down. So that means that these stripes, they'll be vertical rather than horizontal. So I'm not worrying about having to match stripes or anything because this is just coming up as it comes. It's lovely. So I've done a bit of green and now it's changing to red. As usual, this has several different sizes on it, and on the back it's got the fabric required to actually weave this garment. So the best thing is to check your measurements, make a mock-up, which I always do. I think this time I made the mock-up with the lining fabric and that worked, so I used that as the lining. At the moment this is in sizes small, medium, large. I'm going to resize it so that there's a few extra sizes on it. I have been asked for that, so I'll get on with that fairly soon. I might even have this made in time for Christmas. Okay, I'm just going to wind on. As usual, I have paper on the back of my loom as the warp separator. Numbered sheets as they come off. It means that I know how I'm getting on, if I've got enough weft left and so forth. So this is number 6. All the sheets are the same size. This is like art poster paper. And then I roll these up and keep them ready for the next project. So I'm on to number 5 now. I know I've got plenty of weft left, so there's nothing to worry about. I just like the poster paper doesn't take up too much room on the back roller. I know some people use wallpaper, all sorts of things, but I find this works. So it's just poster paper, and it's quite nice because it changes colour as well. So I'm on sheet number 5, and I'm just enjoying weaving. It's not taking very long. The weft is quite thick. So as usual, shuttle goes through. Force of habit, I've always done that, pulled a little bit in at the sides. I don't really beat any of my fabrics. I move the heddle down. I don't really want a fabric that's too harsh. I like mine to be more like a sort of soft cardigan. Ooh, that's nice. Pink. So I'll just do perhaps a sheet a day and I'll have it finished by the end of the week. I don't ever time myself. I'll just do a little bit here and there as I feel like it. So I've got an hour to spare at the moment. I'm just going to plod on. I know in the past I've said that I wanted to weave my whole wardrobe. Well, unless I live until I'm about 150, that's not going to happen. I've got so many projects in the pipeline, things I'd like to make, so I have to prioritise. Oh dear, otherwise I'm never going to get anything finished. The only problem is when I get given a lovely present like this, I just want to get on with it, regardless of what else I've got on the go at the time. I would like to be a bit more disciplined and just have one project going at once. But I know that's never going to happen. I just get really excited. I want to know what the colours are going to look like. So, not the worst problem in the world to have. So I wind the hanks of yarn from my Swift onto the ball winder, so get wonderful colours coming through, and then I put it onto something like this, because if I just take the yarn off the ball winder it'll probably collapse, and I want to keep it quite firm, so I can slide this onto here, and that stays put, because otherwise there's always the danger that that's just going to collapse on itself. And as usual, I like to take the yarn when I'm winding from the centre. So that's how this one is going to look. In the background here, I've got another mock-up. I want to make a pleated skirt. This is quite a simple one. The pleats all go in the same direction. They're stitched to here. I realise my hand woven fabric isn't going to be quite as sharp as this, but I'm going to see how I get on and give it a go anyway. It'll have a zip on the left hand side, a pocket in the right hand side because we need pockets, and then this waist will probably just be turned in with some braid or band or something like that. I haven't decided yet. This is commercial fabric, so it's quite sharp. I've pressed it, So I'm going to see what happens with the hand weaving. I don't know if you can see, but there's a seam across the middle here. So I've just lapped the 2 pieces because that's nice and flat then, because I want to weave it again this way round. So the warp will go this way and the weft will go this way. So these are 2 pieces 12 inches wide. So if you've got a narrow loom, like a 16-inch, something like that, you could weave yourself a skirt and lap the 2 pieces together. I'm just going to see how it works. It may not crease at all, and I don't really want to stitch these down, but I will have a go and see what happens. What I'd like to make is a kind of suit. So there's going to be a pleated skirt and a big jumper that goes over the top. Another project. Today I'm wearing a version of T002. It's a short version. There's a centre seam at the front and back. So again, woven on this 20-inch knitter's loom. I've resized it so it now goes up to size 5X. Very little shaping, straight sides. The only thing you have to do is cut the neckline. So it's quite good for a beginner. It's available as either a full-size paper pattern, which is sent by post, or as an instant download. Now, my instant downloads, as I've said in a previous video, you need to get them printed on size A0 paper. It's easy enough to find somebody online who can do that. Just Google A0 size printing. So you receive the PDF from me with the instructions, with the cover, which you can print at home. And then you just need to find an online printer. It has advantages because obviously you're not paying postage. It's instant, it's in the name. But please read the instructions carefully, because you must put it onto a PC or a laptop, not a phone. That won't work. And I've had quite a few people get in touch and say they don't know what to do. So if you read the descriptions box that's with the pattern, I've put instructions in there on how to download them and get them printed as clearly as I possibly can. If you don't mind waiting, then I can send the patterns by post. Luckily, I can send to the USA now, because there was a time when all that had finished and I couldn't send anything. Now Royal Mail are offering postage to the USA, which I'm sorry to say is still horribly expensive. But if you order more than one pattern, it doesn't add a great deal on. This isn't a sales pitch. You could either get together with a friend who weaves and buy one each and split the postage, or buy 2 and then the cost of the postage really doesn't go up. So the postage is combined, in other words. Hopefully it's all back on track now anyway. I haven't put my postage costs up, although I'm having to pay an extra for the tariff now. If things don't change, I might have to put the postage cost up in the new year, because it's actually not being covered at the moment. But as I said, if you think you'd be able to manage the downloads again, give them a go. My only request is that you don't copy them and share them with somebody else, because as I said before, they take me ages to do and I'm happy with them. But yeah, I'd prefer that you didn't just copy them and share them. So I'm just going to carry on for a bit. I can hear it's pouring with rain outside, so I might as well stay out here for a while. You can see my tension on my warp is fairly high. I remember when I was at college and the lady said, see if you can bounce it 1 inch. That's all. So if it seems to go a bit slack while you're weaving, just tighten it up, either from the front or from the back. Especially when you just put the warp on, you'll find that it goes quite soft quite quickly, because it's tightening up on the back roller. And then as I'm weaving, obviously the fabric's got a bit of give, so that's better. It was just going a bit soggy. If you find that you lift or lower your heddle and a lot of the warps are getting stuck, you can always do this and move your heddle across them. Or if it's really sticky, you can always put a stick in to separate the warps. You put it in behind your heddle. Just have to get it out of the way when you're weaving. But the main thing is, I think, is to check the set carefully first. That way there's less of a problem, less of a likelihood that the warp will all get stuck. So I think that's about it for now. I will post a picture of this once the fabric comes off. I'm hoping it's set at 10. It's not very gappy. Some of my weaving, if it's got hand spun warp and weft, is quite open because I don't want the warps to stick. But because this warp is very smooth and it's commercial yarn, I've set it fairly close because I don't want it to shrink too much. I need 18.5 inches width once it's washed. At the moment, what have I got? This is a 20-inch loom, but it's actually not quite 20. Oh, yes, it is. I beg your pardon. Well, funny, then the heddle's 19.5 and my fabric's 20. Yeah, 19.5, so that's fine. So I don't think this is going to shrink too much. Sometimes I make a sample if I'm really not sure, but this was pretty reliable because the warp is so smooth. So I'll carry on for a bit. Happy weaving. Cheers. See you again soon. Bye now.